Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the season 2 finale of the 98 podcast. I'm your host, Kiran, and today I'm joined by Taylor Chan, the senior editor, writer, director of Wong Fu Productions. If you've never heard of Wong Fu, let me enlighten you real quick. They're an independent digital production company founded in 2003. They have over 3 million subscribers on YouTube, over 500 million views on their dramatic and comedy sketches on YouTube. And they represent a large portion of the Asian American community online. So they also have released films such as Everything Before Us on Netflix, an original series called Single by 30 on YouTube Premium, and their most recent series, Yappy and Dating After College. So to learn more about Taylor and today's topic and Wong Fu Productions, please follow us on Instagram at chanman325 and Wong Fu Productions Pro, and follow us on Instagram at 98.podcast. Welcome to the show, Taylor.
Hello, thanks for having me. It's good to meet you via Zoom. I'm Taylor, yes, writer director at Wong Fu Productions, and yeah, thank you for all the great summary of what we do and and summarizing us so well.
Yeah, no, for sure. Sorry, it was a really long paragraph. It's kind of out of breath by the end of it.
No, I was bad props. You got through it. You did a great job.
Thank you. But anyways, we're so excited to have you on, and this is our season finale episode. So super excited. We've been big fans of Wong Fu Productions for so long. Love your work with them, and so excited to learn more today. So
for sure, I'm so flattered to be the season finale. That once I heard that, I was like, whoa, that's a lot of pressure. Got to go out with the bang.
Yeah, no, so excited. Nervous too, because it is the season finale, but I'm excited because I'm having you on. So it's like a mix.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Love it. Okay. So I want to start off by first asking you how long you've been working with Wong Fu Productions. So it's been around since 2003, like I mentioned earlier, but when did you join the team and how did you get involved?
For sure. It's a great question. Yeah. Wong Fu has been around since 2003, which is crazy. It's because it's coming up on like 2 decades, 20 years, you could say. And in retrospect, I've been only a part of it for a small sliver, you could say, but it feels like a long time. I joined around 2014, and it's my 8th year. I'm in the middle of my 8th year at Wong Fu Productions, and it's been quite a journey during those past 8 years. But I came in right out of college. I started off as just like an intern helping them edit their videos. And I discovered them when I was like in high school, when they were kind of already in their golden years as YouTubers and being leaders in the Asian American community. So when I joined, I felt like I was already like working with my heroes in a lot of ways. And from there, I've been able to like get more responsibility and a more opportunity creating content with them, and then eventually writing and directing, which has been really cool. But yeah, it's crazy. 8 years.
Yeah, definitely. I remember watching back when I think I was first getting into YouTube, because I don't know how old I was, but I just remember being in middle school, I think, when I first saw like the Strangers video, and then there were different collab videos going on at the time, and it's so nostalgic to think about. It was so long ago, but it feels so recent, right? So
they were like at the beginnings of YouTube, or Wong Fu's been around at the beginning of the platform. So like they collaborated with like Ryan Higa and Kev Jumba and stuff, these like OG channels, and a lot of them actually haven't even don't even continue to make content anymore. But it's kind of crazy when we kind of take a step back from what we're doing and realize how long we've been doing this too.
Yeah, definitely. And so on your maybe day-to-day life, like what are some of the responsibilities you have when it comes to Wong Fu Productions?
Yeah, it's changed a lot for me personally. I think so right now I'm I guess you could say like one of like the creative leads.
Mhm.
Um I'm I dictate a lot of the content creation side. I've been writing and directing for Wong Fu for a handful of years.
Mhm.
Um I used to, and I still occasionally edit. I used to be like the senior editor and kind of handled almost all the narrative work that we made.
Mhm.
Um, and then these days, I'm still editing a little bit, but also delegate. So now I also do some admin stuff where it's kind of like talking with clients and stuff, and then managing the team here and there, and making sure everyone is like meeting deadlines and stuff like that. So it's a lot of different. We wear a lot of different hats because we're still a very small team, like
Mhm.
roughly like 8 people, and we're trying to do a lot of different things, a lot of different content, but also we have an online store. We try to do brand deals and commercials on the side, and also
Mhm.
are trying to chase bigger things. So because of that, we're all kind of juggling a bunch of different roles at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I forget that you guys are a small team because I've just seen you grow so much. You're on Netflix now, your YouTube Premium, like so much is going on. That's amazing that you wear a lot of different hats. That's really cool to see.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's. I guess it's something that's always stuck with Wong Fu because I guess Wong Fu started with just like Phil, Wes, and Ted, and it was just the three of them for like probably half their lifetime of Wong Fu. So,
Mhm.
and those three, as three of them, they had to do so many different things, and I think their
Mhm.
hustle kind of has translated to everyone else.
Mhm.
Um, I know it's crazy because yeah, a lot of people do think that we are bigger just because of how long we've been around, and
Mhm.
yeah, we made a movie and it was able to be on Netflix, and we're able to do a series. But it's also interesting because the that being in the entertainment industry, it's just a lot of up and downs, and
Mhm.
it's always like trying to capitalize and build off the previous thing.
Yeah.
So despite have done a movie and it being on Netflix, we're always looking for the next thing and trying to build upon it. So there's definitely like periods where it's like slow, and there's like highs when we have like a series like Single by 30, but
Mhm.
it's always trying to find the next thing. It's not always it's not as smooth or a clear ladder even after each win. So yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I before we do dive into the YouTube part of things, because I think that's where a lot of at least my friends and I know Wong Fu from, but
Mhm.
you definitely expanded. So when it comes to the content creation side of things and expanding, like how do you I don't want to say how do you do it, but how do you continue coming up with these unique stories? And having that authenticity of it being from like an Asian American perspective, because I think your team does that very well. I think that's what one huge thing that you're known for too, especially on the YouTube community.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't think we've got it down to an exact science either,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're kind of a weird channel too, because when it comes to content creation, we do, yeah, like you said, scripted narratives, short films,
Hmm.
and you don't really see that often on YouTube or on any platform these days.
Hmm.
And it's because it takes kind of so long to produce it and to develop these ideas.
Hmm.
Um, and it's because I think yeah, like you said, we're actively trying to make stuff that is authentic to us and it speaks to us or makes us laugh.
Hmm.
And I think yeah, one way we ensure that we, I guess, continue to tell those stories is that we kind of stick to that mantra or that those set of values when it comes to content creation. We want to make sure that we're not um, doing things just for a trend or doing things that aren't necessarily speak to us, but are doing something just to get views or something like that.
Hmm.
Like we check ourselves every time we bring an idea to make sure that it's something that we know that speaks to us individually first in our team,
Hmm.
and and if it does check that box, then we are then it doesn't necessarily matter as much how it does, and we generally know that our audience will respond to it as well.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, we're lucky that we have an audience that also like appreciates that authenticity and those stories that we want to tell. There's a lot of like, it's a double-edged sword too, because like
Yeah.
there's sometimes like it's hard to grow a channel in a company with when you're not when you're on this type of time frame and this type of pace, but also aren't leaning into the trends in this digital landscape that's like constantly changing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I think that segues into my next topic of YouTube and how there's trends on YouTube too. And I feel like whether or not Wong Fu Productions, like even in the earlier years, I think sketches and those shorts always did really well. I think that was very captivating. And then the trend changed a little bit, but you did keep the content pretty like specific to that still. So like I was just wondering, when it comes to YouTube in specific, as the platform changed and your content did evolve as well, like how did you guys come up with those ideas to maybe not follow the trends, but you still, brought that, you tied it into like the real world right now?
Yeah.
What's that process like?
Well, it's a lot of like us kind of talking on the side. I think like, yeah, we typically know that. I mean, because we are active participants in the world, and we are watching things and consuming news the same way everyone else is in pop culture. So when there is something like relevant happening in entertainment or news, as creatives, we have like there'll be ideas or like a joke usually in conversation, right, about that thing. And sometimes, and we know that sometimes ideas form just from that. Like if we like for instance the Asian Bachelorette, right? Like we knew that at this specific time we're like, man, like there's the conversation that there hasn't been Asian contestants on the Bachelorette was something that was being talked about, and we thought it'd be really funny based on that current event thing to depict a show where there was entirely Asian contestants. So there's like it wasn't necessarily because we knew that it was going to do really well, and we knew that that the Bachelorette was going to be this big popular video. I think we just thought it would be really funny to depict that kind of scenario, and we knew that it helped that it played into some pop culture.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a challenge. There's definitely times where we feel like we want to play into a pop culture moment or something current. And then we have a fun angle into it and it doesn't do that well. But yeah, we always try to look at it a lens of just like, if we think the joke resonates with us and it speaks to us, and we have something to say about that thing, then we're going to greenlight it and move forward with it. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
That's so
I think that answers it. I wasn't actually sure.
Yeah, no, my question's kind of all over the place too sometimes. So I'm sorry if it's but just to kind of touch on that too, when you all do pitch an idea or some sort of idea for a video or some series, is there a certain time span in which it kind of gets done or created? Because just from like a content creation curiosity point of view, like how long does it take you guys to, put whatever your idea is out there?
Yeah, it's good. It does vary per project a little bit. Typically, like our sketches and the ones that play into current events, we end up having a tighter turnaround time because we want to essentially, when we think of the idea, usually it's when it's already relevant, right?
Right.
And like we want to still be able to like capitalize on that topic. So we try to turn around sketches, I would say, within like 3 to 4 weeks, which is still is really long for like YouTube standards. Like so sometimes it takes like a week or two to write a script. Sometimes it can expedited faster too, over like a few days. But and then pre-pro, we go into like pre-production where we kind of cast and find locations and wardrobe and all that. That can take. We like to give ourselves at least a week and that's like still really fast for us. And then usually we try to do shoots within a day or two, especially if it's a sketch, and then give at least a week or so for post production. So the turnaround of like a month is would be nice, is usually nice, but there's been times where it's less and sometimes where it's longer. Um, there's been a lot of like personal projects. There's a lot of short films that are personal and are longer page count, and then also take longer to write because they're so personal too. And so it ranges.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Awesome. That's really cool to hear about. Um, and so when it comes to, I guess, YouTube in particular, but I guess we can kind of expand it to just overall, how have you used, how have you and your team used your platform to grow your community? I think that's like a important thing
mm,
when it comes to anyone starting some sort of project, or especially when it comes to entertainment. Like, how do you grow that
mhm.
community?
Right. Yeah. I think part of it is it's yeah, each platform is different. I think for YouTube specifically, I think that's where Wong Fu generally started. So a lot of it's been a balancing act between like listening to what we want as artists and creatives and want to make, but it's also kind of responding to the audience too that's there. You know, I think like um, you being attentive and like engaging with them in ways that in different ways. I think for us, it's like it was. I think a big part of Wong Fu's growth was people seeing like Phil, Wes, and Ted's stories on screen and knowing that it was like personal to them and connecting with the artists through their short films.
Mm-hmm.
And by the ones that did popular and people were responding with, I think they began to grow as artists too. And they began kind of creating content to satisfy also different um,
Mm-hmm.
questions or sensibilities that the audience also had.
Right.
So yeah, so a lot of it was also romantic, just the romantic short films. I think like they themselves are individually are very introspective and romantic guys. So like
Mm-hmm.
as they continue to tell those stories and they respond well, I think they leaned into those feelings that they already had and those questions and to explore those through their art. So that like it was as much as it is like them crafting their own pieces, it was in a way engaging with their audience and having like this somewhat of a dialogue through their work
Mm-hmm.
and through various events too. Like uh, not only that, but like I think they did a vlog series very early on Wong Fu weekends where they got to showcase their personalities, and I think it became like this like very like friend to friend relationship with their audience,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's one of the secrets to Wong Fu's success was being able to be very personal with their viewers
Mm-hmm.
and develop that relationship over the years. And I think that a lot of a lot of the community that they have was built because of those videos. Um, and yeah, at this point in time too, it's like a lot of the people that continue to watch Wong Fu have been people that want to see these people's journeys, these artists, these creatives' journeys, Phil and Wes and
Mm-hmm.
Ted. So um, like like anytime we do like a wedding update, right?
Oh
Or
yeah.
like of like Phil getting married or
Mm-hmm.
talking or his proposal, like our community, the community comes together and like wants to witness that moment because they just want to
Yeah.
they want to see how the people they grew up with are doing. And I think it's the same with the work that they produce. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why Phil's the sequel to Strangers Again is there's a lot of excitement about it. It's not just because they love the original one, but they want to see the progression of like Phil's thoughts when it comes to love and relationships and stuff like that through the story and through his craft. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we're like a vehicle for that.
Yeah.
Um, so that's YouTube. I think it's a challenge too because like we're still trying to figure it out. Um, it's a yeah, like we mentioned earlier, we're trying to toe the line of like being like a highly functional YouTube channel that's always like leaning into trends and growing the way other channels grow, but also staying true to ourselves, because we
Mm-hmm.
know that being true to ourselves has also led to the growth that we've had over the years as well. So
Mm-hmm.
um, it's tough. It's a tough question to navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially when it comes to YouTube, just being a viewer myself, I think it was mm, I think the I feel like at least with the a lot of the sketches too, maybe there are like we've seen those before. There's a lot of tropes that happen in regular shows and movies and
Mhm.
everything. But I think what really was important for me, even as a kid growing up, was seeing that Asian American representation, seeing that there were people out there that had these like similar stories when it came to anything, to be honest. And
Oh,
I
right.
think
Yeah.
I think that was a huge thing too. And um kind of with that too, I wanted to see like if you all have been, I know that you've been putting out more information about, like your support for the Asian American community online, but I just wanted to see, have you all talked about this, how you've been very impactful of Asian American community
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
online, especially on YouTube? Um,
For sure.
any
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I totally didn't mean to dismiss that. Yeah. Like a big part of our community growth has been this kind of rallying behind Asian representation
Yeah.
and having and this need for Asian faces and voices in media. And we talk about it all the time. It's like one of the pillars of Wong Fu and our purpose and why we do what we do and why the
Mm-hmm.
people that work for Wong Fu continue to work for Wong Fu.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we want to continue to be a voice for the community and kind of push it forward. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's apparent like it's not something that was there at the beginning. I
Mm-hmm.
think even Phil and Wes talk about this a lot. Like when they first started making videos, it wasn't for they didn't do it because they for Asian representation or to be
Mm-hmm.
these like leaders
Mm-hmm.
in the Asian American community. They just wanted to make films. And I think as very early on, when they saw the response to their videos and realized that they were in a position of providing opportunity uh, for people watching just to see their own face on screen, they 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 realized that they had a responsibility to continue that and also to create opportunity moving forwards.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about it all the time, and I think we're always trying to find ways to improve upon that. And
Mm-hmm.
because the yeah we even though we've had a lot of strides in the community,
Mm-hmm.
especially recently, we acknowledge that there's still a long way to go, and yeah, there's so many different corners of our community that still need to be heard and seen, and yeah, we're we're always trying to find the best way to approach that. Yeah.
Awesome. That was super cool. Um, so I also wanted to touch on the fact that we're in a pandemic.
Hmm.
We're on the later end of things now, but I wanted to kind of go back to maybe last March into, like the huge wave that happened originally and see how was your team impacted and how were you all able to stay motivated and productive during that time?
Oh yeah, it was yeah, it was a very turbulent and tough year for like the world. Yeah, and it affected us for sure. I think like on so many different levels as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think firsthand, like we were affected just like any other production company or production film production was like
Mm-hmm.
essentially we couldn't shoot the way that we were used to shooting
Right.
content just because yeah our short films and stuff demanded a lot of people on sets, and face-to-face contact to people without masks, so we
Right.
halted production and a lot of the plans that we had for 2020, and we had to just kind of figure out what to do and how to navigate um, making content for YouTube and any of our platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw a lot of like potential brand deals and collaborations kind of shelved. And luckily for us, we didn't have to like shut down or anything, and we were able to kind of
Mm-hmm.
like um, put our heads together and figure out how to kind of make content in a safe way. A lot of it turned out to be like stuff over Zoom
Mm-hmm.
or narratives that didn't require people sharing a frame together. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Or being a very small crews, um,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of COVID safe protocols. But we definitely took a hit. You know, our numbers took a hit. Our motivation definitely took a hit. I think like, um, yeah, we were all working remote from home, so we didn't get to see each other. That really, and that I think we realized later, working from home, that like, you know, that took a toll on a lot of our team members too. Um, and we didn't get to interact with even like our audience that much. And I think a big part of our motivation too was being able to see kind of the impact or hear from people face to face on how things resonate with them. So, but it's definitely a lot of sense, a lot of thoughts that a lot of people were feeling too. Just seeing how the world was like crumbling and stuff like that. Um, there's a production side and operational side that we were hurt by, but I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it was also messaging. Like we weren't necessarily sure what stories we wanted to tell, but also could tell,
Mm-hmm.
because so much was happening in the world, and we didn't want to make light of anything
Mm-hmm.
and rush into anything uh, without making sure that people were ready to laugh or to
Mm-hmm.
think about something else. Um, so yeah, it took a long time just to kind of find our footing and find the voices that and stories that we were ready to tell. And a lot of it turned out to be like COVID aligned or BLM aligned first, because we knew that we wanted to make a statement about those things first
Right.
before kind of going back into the swing of things. We're still kind of in that too. We're still like coming out of yeah, like you said, the pandemic and
Mm-hmm.
trying to gear back up into productions the way that we are used to, and also the storytelling that we're used to. But it's been quite a journey, and we're still kind of figuring it out. We're still remote right now, and but we're very eager to get back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier or even wrote this down, but I did see that you guys were doing sort of like a it's towards, it relates to the Asian American hate crime that's been happening, where you're
Mm-hmm.
reminding people you should talk to your Asian elders and recall their stories, record them, and
Mm-hmm.
like talk to them, get to know them. Like actually, I think that
Yeah.
was super inspirational and really cool to see you guys do. And you even sent out recording devices, professional recording devices, right, to a few fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that kind of giving back to the community was really cool to see. And um e- even with our podcast, like the 98 podcast, that's something that we've been trying to do, is like really record and um sort of share the stories of people in our community. And that was really cool to see that you guys were doing that too. And I just wanted to see, with that too, did you see was there a way that you guys were helping those people that were recording those voices, those stories? Are you planning to share more stories in the upcoming
Oh,
um
in the future. Yeah.
yeah, in the future? And
Yeah, for sure. Like I think, yeah, very early, like yeah, when during the a lot of anti-Asian hate in the world, and I think very early on, like this actually kind of started with a short film that we made
mhm,
called a long time coming,
mhm,
and essentially, like yeah, we knew that there was a lot of dialogue happening generationally between like um, kids and their parents, especially in the Asian community, about what was going on, and there's a lot of different opposing viewpoints. So
mhm,
we for a long time been trying to navigate and kind of touch on that, like that relationship between um, parents and their
yeah,
kids, and talking about social issues.
mhm,
But then there's also been like a lot of conversation, just because our elders have been the ones at the center of these attacks for the most part. um, we a lot of conversation just about protecting them first and foremost, but also preserving their stories and the history, um, and kind of and trying to gain an understanding of where they came from and why they have these ideas that were and these thoughts um, coming into the U.S.
Right.
And yeah, so and then so that spurred this contest in this collaboration we did with Pandora
Mm-hmm.
to kind of inspire viewers to preserve the stories of their elders, um, and to listen and to have these conversations. And it's something that, like, yeah, we really we want to continue doing, and it's a message that we want to continue to push. It's something that we're also on our team are trying to individually do,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we know our audience is like thinking about during these times. So yeah, we're really grateful that Pandora was down to help us kind of activate that kind of contest. And
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, we definitely want to continue telling stories about our elders. And there are talks about like sharing those stories with like the stories that we recorded with our elders, um, especially if there's like interest too. I
Mm-hmm.
think the hard part is like navigating, um, making sure that like people's parents and stuff and their elders are okay, um, sharing their stories publicly and stuff like that, because a lot of these stories are just are painful too and very personal. And I think a lot of them already have trouble even sharing that with like their family, which is also why um, a lot of people haven't like even had these conversations.
Right.
um, there's a lot of trauma there, but
Mm-hmm.
we definitely we definitely want to encourage it more. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing about that. Um, I wanted to wrap up at least the Wong Fu questions by asking
Sure.
you if what's your goal when it comes to Wong Fu Productions for the upcoming years?
Yeah. What is my goal for Wong Fu in the upcoming years? I think essentially we want to continue telling stories and continue growing as a team, and essentially we're trying to make content beyond YouTube as well. Like we have ambitions as like filmmakers, and we have dreams of like making movies or like
Mm-hmm.
longer form series. Um, but at the heart of it, we really just want to still be like kind of an incubator and a place for new talent and new emerging voices from the community to to tell stories. So, um, and it's a we have very lofty dreams, and we aren't necessarily sure how to best get there. But yeah, I hope that we can make. We're hoping we can make a movie within the next couple of years.
Yeah.
It's a lot of red tape to go through to get there, but um, that'd be that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, exciting. I'd love to learn more. That sounds really cool.
Mm.
Um, Alrighty. So I'll move into questions specifically about your journey. If you'd like to start by just letting us know, how did you actually begin your, because I know you shared a little bit about how you
Mhm.
joined Wong Fu and you were interning, but did you always want to work in entertainment, or if so, like what did inspire you to kind of make that leap?
Yeah. At first, I went to college as like a communication major,
Okay.
but I had an interest. I had an interest in like editing, film
Mhm.
editing, since like high school. I did it as like a hobby. I
Mhm.
made some like videos for like our pep rallies or assemblies and stuff like that,
Oh,
and I
gotcha.
thought it was really fun.
Yeah.
Um, and then in college, I knew I didn't want to major in it because I didn't know if I was gonna make it. I knew how tough the industry was, and I was like, if things don't work out, I'll just like go into PR or something, and I'd be totally fine about that. Um, but I knew like like right out of college. Well, in college, I was dabbling a lot in film with a lot of friends and some orgs,
Mhm.
and was honing some skills. And so after college, I knew I wanted to kind of like take a stab at it and like throw my hat into the ring and see if any opportunities presented itself. And I've been following Wong Fu since like high school, um, and I had a lot of friends that were also fans um, of theirs. And so after college, a bunch of my friends like we saw that they had like an opening for some internships,
Oh.
and I just decided to try it out. And like luckily they were like in LA, and I was from LA. I was moving back home to LA, so
Mhm.
um, it kind of just worked out. Yeah, and I was very much inspired by them, and I knew that in the long run, like my bar was set kind of at a point where like if I could just make videos like that I wrote or I created and could make a living off it, kind of like what Wong Fu does, and have people that want to watch, then that's the dream. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
so let's try Wong Fu, and it's kind of yeah, kind of has worked out.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Um, yeah, I feel like I can only assume that's the goal for everyone. Like I to
Yeah.
just put your work out there, even if it's to make ends meet. Like I just
Mhm.
think it would be so cool to work and do something that you really love that doesn't feel like work, right? That you're
Yeah.
passionate about. So that's really cool that you um you majored or you graduated with a degree in communications. Where did you go to
Yeah.
school?
UC San Diego, which is
Oh,
coincidentally where they went. I didn't
oh
go because
wow.
of them, but they graduated in 2006,
Oh, I see.
and I graduated 2014. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Wow, that's so cool. Okay. Because I was wondering if you did have a degree in film. Because I think that's what stops a lot of people is they think they need to, go into they have to go to film school or they have to, get some sort of certification.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that's not the case, right? When
It's not the case. It's not the case. You don't necessarily, yeah, you don't need a degree in film to go into the film industry. A lot of people don't.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm not saying it doesn't necessarily hurt. You know, like there's a lot of networking and skills that you do build through film school that I think a lot of peers have had that I've worked with that have helped them. But yeah, at no by no means is it required. And there's a lot of experience as long as you get your foot in the door and start learning hands on and get on a set early. I think yeah, you can learn that way and get in the industry that way. But there's a lot of different professions and roles you could take in this industry, and there's a lot of different ladders. Even as an editor, it's like
Yeah.
what kind of editor do you want to be, or yeah, what role do you want on set? Yeah.
No,
So
definitely. I feel like, well, when it came to my experience with this, I wanted to work in live events. And with the
okay,
pandemic happening, that's kind of like the main thing that got shut down too.
yeah, right,
Um, but that's why I feel like through this podcast and then just through working with people and kind of being reflective during this time, I was able to figure out like, well, entertainment can mean different things too. So, depending on what I want, like you can usually make your own job if you think about it that way. So,
mm,
that's really cool to see. My other question for you was, as an Asian American creator, like how does that feel? Do you feel like, do you like the term Asian American, or because I feel like there's a lot of controversy with that sometimes, and recently
yeah,
I've seen a lot of artists also say, well, we're an American creator. So how do you
right,
feel about maybe the label, but also just being a creator on this community, this
right,
platform?
right. Yeah, I can understand the conflict there, or the different opinions when it comes to the label. I
Hmm.
think for me, like the thing is that as Asian Americans, I know even as like Asian, it's such a broad like label, you know, and there's so many different ethnicities and cultures that kind of fall into that. I
Hmm.
think, and there's a lot of history in terms of the government labeling this group of people as Asian and stuff. But I do think I am okay with that label. Essentially, it's because we all, I think, uniform, like we all in this group in this community are like juggling dual like uh, a dual identity when it comes to who we are, um,
Hmm.
like our heritage and our ancestors from the motherland, and us trying to find our place in America. And we aren't. as much as we are American and we are trying to fight for our place and our identity as Americans amongst other people in this
Mhm.
country, I think we also are desperately, or we are holding on to our Asian identity too and our heritage, and we don't want to disconnect the two. We are American and we are Asian, and we're proud of
Mhm.
that. So I think I'm okay with that label, Asian American, and pushing that narrative forward is important. How do I feel about an Asian creator? On one hand, it's yeah, there is definitely a ceiling that we're fighting against as creatives or
Mhm.
artists in this industry, or in so many industries, right?
Yeah.
And I think it is something that is a challenge for a lot of us, and I think so at times it is discouraging, and I think a lot of people relate to that.
Mhm.
But I think one of the positives is that we have this great sense of purpose as people that are trying to progress in these different industries, and even in ours, like we feel, yeah, and I think purpose is a big part of what drives us, and
Mhm.
I and so I'm very like honored in a lot of ways too to be Asian American and to be have an opportunity to make somewhat of a difference for someone that needs hope that there is potential in this career path, you know. And
Mhm.
and anything I do or any project that we do, like like that purpose is underlying everything we do, and yeah. So I feel very honored that like I can be uh I feel very honored that I'm helping progress our in any shape or any amount
Yeah.
our community forward, and I know that there's like a responsibility to continue doing that, and I don't, and I think there's a lot of communities that don't have, that can't say that, and sometimes I kind of wonder like what is driving them, you know, and some and I'm very proud that that we can have that purpose, and I I sometimes I feel bad for the people that don't have that, you know, as creatives in this industry, you know, and they're just being driven by like the next job, or like recycling a story that has already been seen and heard, you know. There's something so powerful about being able to tell stories that have that haven't been told yet, and whatever we do is refreshing, right? Like in a lot of ways, and that's very exciting. It means like we're on the edge of groundbreaking movies and shows and
Mhm.
products, um, and I yeah, so it's a privilege in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I feel like I think just going off of that too, you're like paving a path for people, or maybe you're
Mm-hmm.
creating your own, and you're, the way that I feel like maybe you have, or maybe, your team at Wong Fu, or just other Asian Americans that I've seen actually
Yeah.
do this. It's really motivational to see, because yeah, you can see someone that looks like you and you're like, hey, maybe I can do it too. And then you do
Right.
it, and then more people are doing it. And I think that's what is so amazing about this. And um I forget what there was a paper I wrote back in college on this,
Mm-hmm.
for a marketing class, and I spoke specifically about the movie Crazy Rich Asians because it came out around
Right.
that time. And
Yeah.
what I really appreciated was not only was it Asian American representation on screen, but off screen with the
Mm-hmm.
writers and producers and directors and everything. And I think that's what makes that more authentic, that successful. And I think if you can even inspire one person with this, right? Like
Yeah.
that makes it worth it. So I'm
Yeah.
sure that happened with you guys for sure. Like myself included, my team, everyone, just like you've changed lives. I know that for sure. So thank you.
That means a lot. Yeah, at this point, like there's that we have a beautiful community too, where like there's so many. We also at a point where it's not. I think there was a point in time early on in the YouTube days of
Mhm.
Wong Fu where there weren't very many. There were like no. Asian films and mainstream or shows and stuff. And like it was almost only on YouTube for a
Yeah.
while where people could find Asian faces, and it was
Hmm.
only like Wong Fu and like a handful of other creators. And
Hmm.
so at this point though, like there's so many Asian creators and there's a lot more things being greenlit. So it feels like, and the nice thing is that we're all supporting each other. So it's
Yeah.
a really nice community where we're all kind of pushing each other to kind of to new heights, and also cheering each other on and helping each other across different um, projects, which is really cool. So it
Hmm.
feels like we're all riding a wave, and we're just everyone's trying their best to keep the wave going and
Yeah.
get it bigger. Um, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. And so, do you have any personal goals for yourself in the upcoming years? Because I know, so you worked actually with Eric Chen, who's the founder of Sabotage. We had him on earlier this season, and you filmed his commercial, right? So, have you been doing more independent projects too, on the sides? And is that something you're hoping to do in the upcoming years?
Yeah, I mean, Wong Fu's been my whole life for a long time. I was very fortunate to be able to help Eric with Sabotage. It was really cool when he approached me, and he's a close friend.
Mhm.
So, and I loved it. It was such a fun experience, and
Yeah.
yeah, I want to do more of that stuff. The past couple of years, I've been trying to explore it more. Sometimes it's just as like an editor,
Mhm.
you know, helping be edit a separate project. Like I edited a web series last year that was not for
Mhm.
Wong Fu, which was really fun, called Adventures Overall.
Mhm.
And then yeah, I'm hoping to do more. I want to write more on the side, but whenever there's the fortunate thing for me is like if I have an idea of my own, a lot of times I can activate it through Wong Fu, and and um, and sometimes that's a better way to go because they have the resources and a way for me to see things through faster.
Mhm.
But yeah, I want to make I want to make some short films with some friends, and try to pursue like festivals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That I'm hoping to do later this year and stuff. And yeah, if I could do more stuff like Sabotage, that'd be really fun too. So anything that kind of expands my creative abilities and allows me to stretch some legs is always something I look forward to. Yeah.
Definitely. Awesome. Sounds exciting. Um, cool. So that wraps up the questions about your journey. There are some fan questions, and I feel like those can kind of tie in both the Wong Fu side and your side.
For sure.
Start with, what is your favorite movie genre?
Man. Ooh, such a good question. I think it probably is sci-fi.
Mm,
I do
mhm,
love sci-fi. And these days, like anything that blends with sci-fi is something I'm always down for. Like there's a lot of like sci-fi horror is what Aliens is, and like sci-fi
mhm.
comedy is, I guess you could say, like Guardians is kind of.
Right.
So whenever there's an element of technology and dystopian futures and stuff like that, it's a fun world to play in, and I always enjoy watching that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, just to add on to that, what would be your favorite genre, or what genre would you want to make film wise if you were to go down that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I have a funny bone as a creator. I've kind of like acknowledged that. Like I think
Mhm.
I can I lean into the comedy genre a lot, and I definitely think I would go that direction. And if I could make a sci-fi comedy one day, that'd be great. I think it's very daunting at this point in my career to think about sci-fi and
Yeah.
the scope of it. And I'm like, man, I'm not ready to direct a movie, let alone a sci-fi in the way
Mhm.
that I would want to. But yeah, hopefully down the line I can get
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
That's so cool. Nice, nice. Um, Next question. Was there a film or TV show that inspired you to do what you do now?
So many. There's, the list could go on forever in terms of things that I've been inspired by.
Mhm.
Yeah, like Wong Fu themselves is a big point of inspiration for me to even go into film and TV. But besides that, uh, mm, I really there's a bunch of directors. There's like certain directors I've gravitated towards year after year. Whenever they make something, I'll always like watch their film because I know that like
Mm-hmm.
we the movies that they make are movies that I would eventually want to make. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so they're pretty mainstream. So it's like Edgar Wright, is someone I've always he directed like and Scott Pilgrim and
Mm-hmm.
like Hot Fuzz and stuff like that. And then Danny Boyle is a director that I've always loved, and he directed like uh, you know 28 Days Later and
Mm-hmm.
Train Spotting and stuff like that. So
Right.
um, yeah, and I the list could go on forever, but I'll leave it at that.
Nice. Okay, awesome. So what has been your favorite Wong Fu project that you've worked on?
It's another good question. I love every project.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like we like to say they're all our babies. It's hard choosing a favorite is like choosing your favorite child, and that's so difficult. Um,
Gotcha.
I think like so. Hmm. Well, I kind of feel like I have to say Dating After College was my
Mm.
favorite because that was the biggest thing I worked on that I was the helm of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Before that, I co-directed Yappy, which is a series I did with Phil, and he was a co-writer on that. But Dating After College was one that I was like the lead writer and the sole director of, and visionary for. So, and being able to kind of complete that and such a big scale was a big accomplishment and a huge undertaking for me personally and creatively, and I learned a lot
Mm.
from it. So, whenever I look back at that, it's a very um, reflective and nostalgic thing. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I just wanted to say, one of my favorites, well, besides Strangers, because I think that was like the first one I ever saw.
Mm-hmm.
The recent ones where it involves some sort of like Korean drama.
Oh, right.
I just saw what I forgot what it was called, but I think The Office, My Office is a K drama or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah,
That
yeah.
was so, my gosh, I love it. I just
Oh,
love it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. That was fun. I wrote that one, and
Oh my gosh, yay.
like yeah, we like those ones. Those ones are like that's an example of something we took on during COVID, where we're like, we're not going to be able to make things super big,
Mhm.
but we can do things in our office with just our team and a small scale. And we
Mhm.
were like binging K dramas in 2020, like so many people. So like,
Yeah.
it was really fun for us to kind of play with that genre in a parody kind of way with ourselves. So I'm glad you liked it. That was a really
Yeah.
fun one to make, and we had a lot of fun with it. Yeah.
No, definitely. I just keep thinking of like, I think it's Phil, right? He like slapped your hand,
Oh,
the donut falls
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh my gosh, loved it.
yeah.
Loved it. Awesome. All right. So the next question is, which Friends character do you relate to the most?
That's so. I don't know who asked this question, but they clearly know that I like
I was
Friends.
about to ask if you're a Friends fan. I'm assuming they know you.
Yeah, yeah, they know I'm a Friends fan. Um, I've always been compared to Chandler, so I
Oh.
Chandler's always been my favorite character. We have a lot of similar personality traits.
Mhm.
Use humor as a defense mechanism. Very sarcastic, a little insecure as well. So, um, yeah, I like Chandler. Chandler's my favorite.
Nice.
Yeah,
No, awesome. Have you seen the Friends reunion that's on, I think,
I
HBO?
yeah, I did. I did.
It was
I
really
liked
nice.
it.
Yeah.
I teared up a little
Me
bit.
too.
Yeah,
It
you
was
know.
really cool. Awesome. Nice, nice. And then last question, fan question. If you could, what advice would you give your younger self about your goals?
Um. Oh, that's a good question. I think I would say not to like sell yourself short. Like I think early on when I was younger, especially after college, I set my goals kind of low. I was all like, because I had so much self-doubt and
Mm.
uncertainty about the career and the work, entering the workforce and just going into the film industry. Like it's like there's it felt like so much was working against me, that I thought it was safer to set a lower benchmark for myself for what happiness meant. And I think um, I don't think I needed to do that. I don't think people need to do that. I think it kind of goes into like self love kind of stuff, and kind of
Mm-hmm.
valuing yourself higher, and believing in yourself. Um, Kind of knowing your worth, and knowing and believing that you can, that that your work will be valued, and that um, yeah, and you can aim high. If you aim higher, you'll land higher, kind of thing too.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for me, it was like, oh, if you just get a like an editing job and you make a livable wage,
Mm-hmm.
you're fine, Taylor, and you can live happily ever after in a little studio apartment or something. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that was fine at the time, but I think I let myself dream bigger, and believe in myself more. So it's like, I guess it's a confidence thing too.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
Mhm.
Perfect. So, before we wrap up, is there any advice you would give to our audience members listening? We have a lot of, I think, college students that listen to
Mhm.
this because we've been doing a lot of reflecting on graduating during this time, or just going to college during a pandemic, and
Right.
all the pros and cons of that. But yeah, if there's someone listening that, is interested in working in film or just entertainment in general, advice you might have for me, because I'm trying to work in this industry too, and
Yeah.
I'd love to
No, you're
learn more.
doing great.
Oh,
The
thank
fact
you.
that you're hustling after graduating and making this podcast is more than what I would have done. And so it already shows your initiatives, and the skills that you have. So
Thank
I
you.
think like, I think advice is like, well, there's a lot of advice, but I think it is saying yes to opportunity, and to exploring new things, and being willing, open to learning. I think a lot of people that you're going to meet right out of the gate are going to respond well if they know that you're excited about the work that you're doing, and you want to be there, and they're more willing to trust you with stuff, and bring you into projects or gigs and stuff, if you have that excitement,
Yeah.
and willingness to learn. I think surrounding yourself with people that support you, and friends that uplift your ideas, and support your ideas, and
Mhm.
is also a big part of you kind of getting through these years after college. Like that's the secret to Wong Fu too.
Mhm.
Was like the reason they were able to kind of continue to grow is because they had each other as a team, and um, a place, people to kind of um, lean on when like you have your really lows, and you're really questioning life, and there's a lot of uncertainty. But then people that kind of can push you to um,
Mhm.
to tackle that project, or to go for that that interview, or approach that next opportunity.
Mhm.
You need that support system. So
Mhm.
yeah, those two. Those are that'd be my advice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here. Learned so much, and I didn't want to say this earlier, but like, I was super nervous going into this because you're like a celebrity to me. I
No,
watch
no,
you on
no.
YouTube, and I'm just
Oh,
like, oh my gosh, he's here.
oh no, that's very flattering. No, I consider myself like a
But yeah,
very low tier,
oh
but
my gosh,
thank you.
no, 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 no. You're up there. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Thank you everyone for listening. For more information, please check out their Instagram, their YouTube channel, Wong Fu Pro on Instagram, Wong Fu Productions on YouTube. Check out Taylor on at Instagram at ChanMan325, and
You
check out our
got it.
Instagram at 98.podcast. This is the season finale. We will be back in September, but until then, catch up on all of our past episodes. Check out our YouTube, check out our LinkedIn, check out our Instagram, all of that fun stuff. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And thank you again, Taylor, for being on.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me come on and ramble about everything. It's been really fun.
Yeah, awesome. Well, until next time, bye bye.
Bye.